Chosen one, you need to understand why the attention around you is growing, why even Egypt seems to be talking about you. This is not coincidence. It is a sign that you have been sensed by God. Your value and impact are no longer determined by struggle, approval, or endless effort. Instead, they emerge from clarity, presence, and integrity. What you've been waiting for is already moving toward you, but the key is to recognize it and align with it. True influence doesn't come from proving yourself. It comes from living fully in your truth and letting that authenticity shine. As you step into this state, your energy naturally inspires others and opens doors that the old systems cannot control. To engage with this shift, take deliberate action. Hit that like button, subscribe to help the community grow to 30,000 members, and leave a comment with the number 11. These steps are not about luck, they are about conscious participation in the flow of your growth. Remember, this is your moment of confirmation. Rest in your awareness, trust your journey, and embrace the life that is unfolding naturally around you. This message matters because it challenges one of the most deeply ingrained beliefs of modern life, that worth must be earned through exhaustion. It invites people to pause and reconsider the systems they've been surviving inside, systems that reward pressure, speed, and sacrifice while quietly draining meaning and joy. Understanding this shift is not optional anymore. It's essential for sustainable growth, mental clarity, and authentic influence. In my view, this perspective is not just inspiring, it is necessary. It speaks to a generation that is tired of running without a rival. It reminds us that power does not always look loud, and leadership does not require collapse. Choosing alignment over struggle is not laziness, it is intelligence. This way of living creates impact without destruction. True transformation begins silently. When a person restructures their inner world, values, boundaries, beliefs, their external presence changes naturally. People may not understand why they feel drawn to this person, but they feel it. Alignment carries a quiet authority that cannot be manufactured. Inner change alters how decisions are made. Instead of reacting, aligned individuals respond with clarity. This steadiness creates trust. In professional spaces, families, and communities, people instinctively lean toward those who move without panic. Psychological studies show that emotional regulation and self-awareness increase perceived leadership capacity. Calm individuals are often seen as more competent, even when they speak less. Presence itself becomes communication. When someone stops chasing validation, their energy shifts. They no longer need to convince. This absence of desperation is powerful. It signals inner security, and others recognize it immediately. External recognition, then, is not the goal. It is the echo. The source is internal coherence, and the world responds to coherence instinctively. Systems built on pressure depend on participation. When someone steps out of constant struggle, the system notices because control weakens. Resistance is not loud rebellion. It is non-compliance with burnout. Organizations, cultures, and even relationships often reward overextension. When you refuse to be fueled by fear, expectations shift. Your calm becomes disruptive, not because it is aggressive, but because it is unbothered. Historically, rigid systems collapse when enough individuals stop feeding them energy. This applies at a personal level too. When you stop equating worth with suffering, you reclaim autonomy. The system may attempt to pull you back with guilt or urgency. This is not a sign of failure. It is proof of independence. Freedom often triggers discomfort in environments built on control. Choosing not to struggle is not escape, it is evolution. And evolution always challenges outdated structures. Noise demands attention. Alignment commands it. When words, actions, and values match, credibility forms without explanation. People trust what feels consistent. Many chase visibility through constant output, yet overexposure often dilutes impact. Alignment concentrates energy, making even small actions noticeable. Neuroscience shows that humans subconsciously detect congruence. When behavior aligns with intention, it creates psychological safety for others. Safety attracts attention. Aligned individuals don't oversell themselves. Their confidence is rooted, not rehearsed. This steadiness makes others curious, not skeptical. Recognition, gained this way, lasts longer because it's built on substance, not performance. Pressure narrows vision. When it lifts, creativity expands. Living without constant urgency allows better decisions and deeper focus. Chronic pressure activates survival mode, reducing long-term thinking. Calm restores strategic awareness. Pressure-free living is not passive. It is intentional pacing, chosen strength, and sustainable momentum. Proving drains energy. Being drains nothing. When you no longer seek approval, your presence sharpens. People sense when someone is grounded. There is no hidden agenda, no performance anxiety. This authenticity builds respect faster than credentials. In leadership psychology, self-assured individuals are followed because they appear internally validated. They do not outsource confidence. Not proving doesn't mean disengaging. It means acting from certainty rather than insecurity. This shift allows your work and your character to speak before you do. Calm confidence stabilizes environments. In moments of uncertainty, people look for emotional anchors, not loud directives. Leaders who remain composed under pressure reduce collective anxiety. This improves decision-making across teams. Research in organizational behavior shows that emotionally regulated leaders foster higher trust and productivity. Calm confidence is not dominance. It is assurance without force, clarity without intimidation. This form of leadership invites cooperation rather than compliance. Burnout is not a personal failure. It is a system warning. Breaking the cycle requires redefining success. Overwork often masks fear of irrelevance, scarcity, or judgment. Addressing the fear dissolves the pattern. Sustainable effort respects biological limits. Rest is not weakness, it is biological intelligence. Those who exit burnout cycles often become examples for others, even unintentionally. Choosing balance disrupts a culture that equates exhaustion with dedication. Growth becomes visible when reactions change. Triggers lose power. Responses gain depth. People notice when you pause instead of react. That pause reflects maturity. Growth also shows in boundaries: what you allow, what you refuse, what you protect. Visible growth inspires reflection in others. It creates permission to evolve. This influence spreads quietly without instruction. Survival thinking focuses on avoiding loss. Growth thinking focuses on creating value. When fear no longer drives choices, innovation increases. Risk becomes calculated, not avoided. Survival mode limits empathy. Growth restores connection. Economic and psychological studies show that security enhances creativity and ethical decision-making. Leaving survival behind is not denial of reality. It is mastery of it. Rest requires discipline. In a culture of constant motion, choosing rest is an advanced skill. Quality rest improves memory, emotional regulation, and problem-solving. High performers across industries schedule rest intentionally, not conditionally. Rest teaches self-trust. It says, "I am enough without constant output." This mindset transforms productivity from strain into flow. Creativity thrives in safety, not scrutiny. When validation is removed, originality increases. Fear of judgment limits experimentation. Freedom unlocks innovation. Artists, thinkers, and builders produce their best work when detached from approval. Internal satisfaction sustains long-term creativity better than applause. This independence strengthens both confidence and output quality. Productivity measures output, not impact. Success measures alignment and longevity. A full life includes meaning, health, connection, and contribution. Obsessive productivity often sacrifices what matters most. Redefined success allows fulfillment without depletion. This shift creates lives that are rich, not just busy. Self-stability compounds. Decisions improve. Relationships stabilize. Direction clarifies. Emotionally stable individuals weather change with resilience. Their influence lasts because it is not reactive. Over time, stability becomes legacy. It shapes environments long after words are forgotten. Presence amplifies impact. One focused action outweighs scattered effort. Being fully present improves communication and reduces errors. Presence builds trust faster than overworking ever could. It allows life to be experienced, not endured. This choice transforms effort into effectiveness. You don't need to persuade when your life demonstrates possibility. Peaceful success challenges harmful norms more effectively than arguments. Living well becomes an invitation, not a lecture. Others observe, question, and adjust in their own time. This is influence rooted in integrity, quiet, powerful, and lasting. Every choice we make carries energy. When decisions are deliberate, life becomes a series of aligned steps rather than reactive movements. Intentionality shapes outcomes more than luck or effort. It's about acting from clarity, not habit or expectation. Intentional choices reduce regret. When your actions are rooted in purpose, even failures become lessons instead of burdens. This builds confidence, resilience, and long-term vision. You attract opportunities naturally because your presence signals focus and awareness. Finally, living intentionally reduces overwhelm. When actions are guided by principle rather than reaction, life feels manageable, even amidst complexity. Clarity becomes its own reward. Self-awareness is the foundation of every meaningful change. Understanding your triggers, strengths, and patterns allows for conscious decision-making rather than unconscious drift. It is the lens through which growth becomes visible. Self-awareness helps navigate relationships effectively. Recognizing how your behavior affects others builds empathy and influence. People respond to those who act with conscious awareness. Emotionally, awareness allows for regulation. Instead of being reactive, you respond thoughtfully. This improves mental health and reduces the energy lost in unnecessary conflict or stress. Growth itself accelerates when paired with reflection. When you know where you stand internally, feedback becomes a tool instead of a threat. Challenges become invitations to learn rather than reasons to retreat. Self-awareness transforms how the world perceives you. Authenticity radiates naturally, and influence is no longer dependent on performance, but on presence and understanding. Curiosity keeps the mind flexible and growth-oriented. When you question, explore, and challenge assumptions, life becomes a landscape of opportunities rather than obstacles. Curiosity fuels creativity and adaptability. Curiosity combats stagnation. It allows for continuous learning, which builds competence and confidence over time. Leaders, innovators, and pioneers all share one trait: insatiable curiosity. In relationships, curiosity enhances empathy. Asking questions instead of assuming positions fosters trust and deeper connection. This skill creates meaningful influence without coercion. Curiosity also reduces fear of failure. When outcomes are framed as exploration, mistakes are reframed as discoveries, not setbacks. This mindset is essential for resilience. Finally, curiosity creates excitement in life. Passion for learning and experiencing new perspectives brings fulfillment that external rewards cannot provide. Discipline is often associated with struggle, but true discipline is quiet, consistent, and strategic. It is the ability to act according to long-term vision rather than short-term comfort. Quiet discipline shapes character. Consistent action, even when invisible, compounds into remarkable results. It is the reason small, deliberate habits outperform sudden bursts of effort. Resilience grows alongside discipline. Life inevitably presents challenges, but a foundation of steady action allows recovery and adaptation. Resilience is built in the calm, not the chaos. Discipline also reinforces self-trust. When commitments are kept privately, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, increasing confidence and independence from external validation. Ultimately, quiet discipline leads to freedom. Mastering your actions internally creates a life that is controlled by choice, not circumstance. Talent can open doors, but emotional intelligence, EQ, sustains success. EQ allows for self-regulation, understanding others, and making strategic decisions in complex environments. Leaders with high EQ navigate conflict effectively. They create environments where collaboration and trust thrive, rather than competition and tension. Influence grows naturally. EQ also protects mental health. Understanding your emotional landscape prevents burnout and reactive decision-making. Awareness of triggers allows you to act rather than react. In personal growth, EQ amplifies learning. Constructive feedback is received as insight rather than critique, enabling continuous improvement. Finally, emotional intelligence builds legacy. While skills may fade, the ability to connect, empathize, and guide others leaves a lasting impression beyond individual achievements. Big goals can feel overwhelming without a roadmap. Celebrating small wins is crucial for maintaining momentum, motivation, and clarity. Each step forward validates progress and builds confidence. Small wins train focus. Instead of dispersing energy across too many areas, deliberate progress creates a sense of mastery. Consistent success fosters belief in long-term visions. Psychologically, small wins reduce stress and improve resilience. Seeing incremental progress keeps discouragement at bay during complex challenges. Small wins inspire others. observing consistent, purposeful actions encourages peers to follow suit, creating a culture of growth and accountability. Ultimately, the accumulation of small wins reshapes perception. What once felt impossible becomes inevitable through persistence and strategic execution. Boundaries are clear limits protect energy, focus, and mental health while strengthening relationships. Without boundaries, people risk overcommitment, burnout, and resentment. Boundaries are proactive, not reactive, and allow for intentional choices. Boundaries enhance trust. Others know what to expect, reducing conflict and creating healthier interactions. Respect emerges naturally when limits are communicated respectfully. They also foster self-respect. Choosing what you will or will not tolerate is an act of self-worth and personal authority. Finally, boundaries amplify freedom. With limits in place, energy is spent where it matters, enabling growth, creativity, and influence without sacrifice. Leadership is often mistaken for command. True influence comes from listening, understanding needs, perspectives, and opportunities before acting. Active listening builds credibility. People feel valued and understood, creating trust and loyalty that directives alone cannot achieve. Listening fosters learning. Leaders who hear first gain insight into challenges, motivations, and gaps, allowing for more strategic decisions. It also models respect. Teams, friends, and communities mirror the patience and openness of leaders, raising overall effectiveness and morale. Ultimately, leadership through listening shifts power from authority to connection, creating lasting impact. Patience is underrated in a culture obsessed with speed, yet it allows long-term vision to unfold without reactive errors or unnecessary stress. Patience develops clarity. Waiting, observing, and analyzing before acting reveals patterns that hasty decisions miss. It also fosters resilience. Endurance through uncertainty strengthens confidence and diminishes anxiety in volatile situations. Patience builds credibility. Others notice steady, thoughtful action and trust that outcomes will be sound, enhancing influence. Finally, patience transforms life into strategy rather than chaos. It converts waiting into preparation and intention rather than idle delay. Values are the compass guiding decisions. When actions align with principles, life feels authentic, purposeful, and sustainable. Alignment reduces internal conflict. Decisions become clear, reducing stress and second-guessing. It also improves influence. People sense authenticity and integrity, which draws trust and respect naturally. Aligned action fosters consistency. Habits become deliberate extensions of values, creating a strong, recognizable character. Ultimately, values-driven action creates a life of meaning rather than motion, leaving impact beyond immediate results. Obstacles are inevitable, but reframing them as catalysts transforms mindset and outcomes. Challenges are opportunities for growth, insight, and resilience. This perspective reduces fear. Instead of avoidance, difficulties become invitations to adapt and innovate. Catalytic thinking enhances creativity. Limits often spark unconventional solutions that would remain undiscovered in comfort. It also strengthens self-confidence. Overcoming adversity proves capability internally, reducing reliance on external validation. In the long term, challenges sculpt character. The person who embraces difficulties leaves a mark, not because life was easy, but because they transformed hardship into progress. Reflection is not idle thinking. It is purposeful analysis of experiences, actions, and outcomes. It turns life into an intentional learning process. Through reflection, mistakes are mined for insight rather than guilt, and successes are understood deeply rather than assumed. It also fosters foresight. Lessons from the past inform future choices, enhancing strategy, reducing error, and improving resilience. Reflection increases emotional intelligence. Awareness of reactions, motivations, and patterns enhances decision-making and relationships. Ultimately, reflection is the engine of growth, converting experience into wisdom, action, and influence. Vulnerability is often misinterpreted as weakness, yet it is a bridge to connection and authenticity. Showing genuine emotion invites trust and openness. It encourages collaboration. People are drawn to leaders and peers who demonstrate courage, honesty, and relatability. Vulnerability also fosters learning. Admitting limitations allows guidance, mentorship, and growth without ego obstruction. Emotionally, it reduces stress. Masking true feelings requires energy. Embracing vulnerability restores freedom and clarity. Ultimately, vulnerability empowers. It is the channel through which influence, empathy, and leadership flourish. Gratitude reframes experience. Expressing appreciation reinforces connection and mutual respect, creating supportive networks. Gratitude improves decision-making. Contentment allows clarity, reducing impulsive or fear-driven choices. It enhances mental well-being. Daily acknowledgement of value in life reduces stress, increases optimism, and fuels motivation. Over time, gratitude becomes a lens through which life's challenges and victories are equally meaningful, cultivating enduring fulfillment. Legacy is not built in grand gestures alone. It is shaped by consistent, mindful choices. Daily actions compound into long-term impact. Small acts of integrity, kindness, and courage resonate beyond immediate context. Influence often outlasts intention. Legacy builds when choices are aligned with purpose. Consistency in principles creates trust, admiration, and inspiration in others. It also inspires reflection. Observers learn from how life is lived, often more than from advice or instruction. Ultimately, everyday choices form the architecture of meaningful life, leaving evidence that impact is the sum of deliberate, aligned action. Focus is the currency of achievement. In a world overflowing with distraction, directing energy deliberately is more valuable than sheer effort. Every thought, action, and decision becomes more powerful when aligned with intention. Focused energy allows deep work. Instead of spreading yourself thin, concentrating on high-priority tasks produces outcomes exponentially greater than scattered effort. This builds credibility and influence silently. When focus is practiced consistently, the mind becomes less reactive. Clarity replaces anxiety, and decisions come from purpose rather than impulse. Stress diminishes because attention is applied where it matters most. Focused energy also transforms perception. Others notice when someone moves with purpose, not urgency. Calm, precise action communicates competence more than constant busyness ever could. Finally, mastering focus is a long-term advantage. Skills, relationships, and opportunities compound when energy is applied consistently to meaningful objectives rather than dispersed across distractions. Pausing is often mistaken for stagnation, but strategic pauses are the engine of progress. They create the space necessary for evaluation, insight, and recalibration. Reflection during a pause allows lessons from past actions to surface. This ensures that future steps are intentional, reducing mistakes and wasted effort. Pauses restore energy. In high-pressure environments, constant motion depletes mental, emotional, and physical reserves. Time to recharge increases resilience and creativity. Pausing is a demonstration of self-confidence. It signals that you are not driven by fear or urgency, but by clarity and purpose. Others are drawn to this quiet authority. Ultimately, those who embrace pauses evolve faster. Life becomes a guided journey rather than a rushed race, and results are sustainable, meaningful, and deeply impactful. Life presents challenges not to punish, but to refine. The mindset we bring to obstacles determines whether they crush us or elevate us. Viewing challenges as opportunities shifts fear into curiosity. Problems become puzzles to solve rather than threats to endure, fostering creativity and resilience. Adversity develops perspective. Difficult experiences illuminate strengths, reveal weaknesses, and clarify values. This self-awareness is invaluable for personal evolution. Challenges also demonstrate character. How one responds under pressure is noticed by peers, leaders, and communities often more than achievements themselves. Finally, challenges are catalysts for lasting change. Overcoming obstacles equips you with confidence and insight, laying the foundation for leadership, influence, and authentic impact. Leadership is not always loud. Subtle influence, rooted in action and integrity, often outlasts commands or speeches. People are inspired by those who lead without ego, through presence, calm confidence, and consistent values. Influence is felt, not demanded. Subtle leadership creates trust. When actions match words, others naturally align, fostering cooperation rather than compliance. It also allows for long-term sustainability. Loud, coercive leadership may produce short-term results, but subtle influence builds ecosystems that thrive independently. Ultimately, subtle leaders demonstrate that true authority is quiet, consistent, and grounded in integrity rather than force. Joy is not accidental, it is intentional. Choosing to notice, appreciate, and celebrate life, even amid challenges, enhances creativity, energy, and resilience. Intentional joy increases productivity. When the mind feels satisfaction, motivation grows, and tasks are completed with clarity and passion. Joy attracts others. Happiness is contagious. People are drawn to environments and individuals who radiate positivity without dependency on circumstance. Conclusion and personal closing. Life is not measured by how fast we move, how much we do, or how loudly we perform. True influence, growth, and fulfillment come from alignment, presence, and intentional living. Every choice you make, every boundary you set, and every moment of self-reflection compounds into a life of meaning. Growth is not a sprint. It is a steady unfolding of your best self. When you stop chasing validation and exhaustion, you create space for clarity, creativity, and authentic leadership. Rest, curiosity, and consistency are not weaknesses. They are your most powerful tools. Remember, living aligned with your values is a contribution in itself. You don't need permission, external approval, or constant struggle to be significant. Your life, lived intentionally, becomes evidence of what's possible. This journey is yours alone, but it also inspires others. When one person chooses freedom, integrity, and presence, it ripples into their community, opening doors for change and awareness. Thank you for taking the time to invest in your growth today. Keep reflecting, experimenting, and acting with purpose. Your best version is already in motion. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so more people can be inspired to live intentionally. Your growth can become someone else's spark. Stay aligned, stay intentional, stay remarkable.